Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here with this giant pile of Elle Studio products. So I've had these snow pictures sitting on my desk since January. I printed them immediately. I think it was one of the first things I printed with my little mini printer. And I've had them sitting here. And I just have really wanted to scrapbook them, but every single kit that I've gotten since I printed these has been like springy or Valentine's Day or something like that, so I really haven't had an opportunity to actually scrap them. So I thought today I'd do a little something different and I would pull out some Elle Studio products. Well, instead of making a page kit, I made a mini kit, or really kind of probably a full kit if you look at how much I pulled out. But so I'm going to use it to make at least one more layout. I'm not sure if I'll make more than that, but I thought, since I already have all the products out, I feel like they kind of coordinate together. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple layouts with this little page kit slash mini kit, whatever you want to actually call it. So it took me kind of a while to figure out what paper I wanted to use as my background. Now, my light seemed to be pretty light here, so the blue is showing up a little bit lighter than what it truly is. It's definitely got a little bit of a darker tone to it, but for some reason, and you guys have probably noticed this in different layouts that I've done, I really kind of gravitate towards that dark blue whenever I am doing snow photos. So I'm going to do this one again, naturally, because I always feel like it kind of works together. And I'm going to pull out a really old supply that a lot of us don't use very often anymore, and it was off screen, but there you see it. I'm actually pulling out some decorative scissors and creating a little scallop border. Now, I used to really struggle using these scissors. I don't know why, but I had a really difficult time a couple years ago cutting the borders pretty evenly, but for whatever reason, I guess I figured out how to use it, and now I actually can use these decorative scissors pretty successfully. So I have determined that it's easier to line the edge of the decorative scissors up with the edge of your paper versus trying to cut a straight line with the decorative scissors, because that never works for me. But I'm just kind of creating a centralized layout with this with all of these, with these two photos and my little journaling card. And my journaling card says warm and cozy, so I'm really kind of sticking with the grays, the dark blues, and the teals for this particular layout. I've got that branding strip that was just a black polka dot. And then I've got that 6x6 paper with it was the teal paper with the large white polka dots. That's what I cut my little scallop border out of. And I'm just going to back my photos on this scrap of Echo Park paper that I had sitting off to the side of my desk. And it's kind of got that same teal pattern on it. It seems a little washed out in this video just because the lights were so bright, but it really is kind of the same teal as what's on that warm and cozy card. I've also kind of started getting a little bit more into or thinking a little bit more about printing my journaling. So I'm going to do some printed journaling and include it on that warm and cozy card. I feel like the printed journaling, I can actually fit a little bit more journaling on there than what I typically can whenever I do my handwritten journaling, but it also, I feel like, gives it a different look. And since the warm and cozy was already printed on the card itself, I thought having the printed journaling would just look really nice with that as well. Just kind of doing some centralized embellishing, as you can see. I was really trying not to think too hard about this and just trying to go with what I felt looked nice. And so I've got this giant pile of little die cuts that I pulled out, and I'm just kind of laying them around the page, and some of them will stay where they originally land and some of them won't. But this is kind of how this page came together. I'm actually going to use that vellum ampersand sign at the bottom and make a little cluster down here, which I think is really kind of cute. It ended up being extremely cute. I have this ampersand, I have that teal label or just banner at the bottom, and then I have this little arrow that says love this. And then I'm going to kind of use a couple alpha stickers and kind of create a little subsection down here at the bottom. It's not really a subtitle, but it's just kind of a little bit, you could even call it an extension of the journaling. So up here at the top, I had this sticker that says this is our happy place, and I trimmed it down just to kind of fit into that gray sticker banner label I had at the top. And then I also had this little speech bubble that said love this moment, and then a little teal circle that said love. kind of narrowed it down, and these layouts, or these die cuts that are on this layout right now, are pretty much the ones that are going to stay there. They're going to move a little bit as they get adhered down, but this is pretty much how they're going to stay. I'm using these tiny text alphas here to create my title, which is Winter is Here, and I actually got that title from one of the little die cuts that I had sitting on my layout here a moment ago, and it said Winter is Here, and I thought, oh, that's a perfect title for these photos, because I've already kind of scrapbooked about these photos in my Project Life pages, but I really wanted to do a 12 by 12 layout as well. Now, I'll be honest with you, these alphas are not at all sticky anymore, and so I'm definitely going to have to reinforce those with a little bit of adhesive, but I really love the design of these alphas. I think they're a really nice size. I think they're also a really nice font, very easy to read, but also very easy to work with. So even though they're not sticky anymore, and they really aren't, well, really, they're just not sticky anymore, which kind of makes it difficult to work with. So even though they're a little bit difficult, I still really like the way that they look. So I'm keeping them in my stash, and I will continue to use them. I actually have multiple copies of this style of alpha. So you'll see these on the layouts, even though I have to not confirm, reinforce. Wow, I'm getting my words mixed up tonight. Reinforce them with some adhesive, which is the same way I have to do with thickers. I always have to reinforce my thickers as well. So that's not really that big of a deal to me. It actually makes it to where I can be sure that it's not going to fall apart. All right, I'm going ahead and starting to glue everything down, and as you can see, everything pretty much lands exactly how I had it. It's not going to change very much. Some things get shifted around as I lay them down, and then I go, oh wait, I had this a little bit further left, or I had this a little bit further right. Like this Enjoy a moment ago was to the top of the heart, and now it's going to be down to the bottom of the heart. But again, kind of the same style, and so it's going to stay around the same thing. Now, I don't like to put the glue on the back of these vellum pieces, so I'm using the pieces that overlap the vellum to be able to hold it down. And that's one reason why I kind of like to do that. Now, my glue of choice today is actually this Martha Stewart fine tip glue pen, which apparently is discontinued. You might be able to find it in a few places, but I went looking for it to link it a couple weeks ago, and it's no longer offered. I actually got mine at Michael's, but I've seen them at Joann's as well, and they are not on their website anymore. So I'm pretty positive that they are discontinued. But any kind of glue pen that you can find should work, or a very or like if you have a fine tip applicator, which I know you can get those at Hobby Lobby. I don't have them just because I don't have a need for it at this moment, but I have seen a lot of people use those fine tip applicators, which I think are used mostly for like building models, and so you can fill it with whatever kind of glue or adhesive you like. And a lot of people like the Scotch Quick Dry adhesive, though I don't think it's actually called a Quick Dry adhesive anymore. I think it's actually called something else, but any kind of permanent glue would work in those type of things. You just have to make sure that you clean it and put the lid on properly so that it doesn't actually like clog the applicator. Alright, so I'm pretty much kind of finished with the layout. I always do when I get to a point to where everything's glued down. I start going back and I start looking like, okay, what else can I add? And I'm looking for something to add down here at the bottom. And I am kind of looking at some word stickers, but I don't really like that documented one. I really wanted to make it work, but it doesn't. So I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to find another one that says this is just too cute, and I'm going to trim it down, and I'm actually going to cut off the top and the bottom to make it like skinnier, and then I actually cut it into 2 lines. So it says this is just too cute and I love this. And I so love this. So I'm taking some of these really small circle alphas, and those are actually off that same tiny text alpha sheet by I think it's Bella Boulevard. Let me just check. Yes, Bella Boulevard Tiny Text Alphas in white, and those little circle alphas were off that exact same sticker sheet as the ones that I use for Winter is Here. Kind of looking to see if there's anything else I want to add. So I felt like the I so was a little bit too far to the right, so I wanted to add something a little bit to the left of that love this label, just to kind of, offset it just a little bit. And my first thought was to use a black heart, but then I felt like that was a little too bold. So I'm going to go back and add one of these little teal hearts instead. It just doesn't stand out quite as much. And I don't have a whole lot of black on this layout, so I felt like having that real black bold heart there was just a little bit too much. So I'm going to take out my Sakura white opaque pen here and just do a border. And it's not a real bright white on this background, which I think actually works really well for this background. And I know I keep having to pick up my pen, but you really can't tell. It really is just a smooth line across, and I really like the way that that looks. Now I'm going to go ahead and step away just for a moment to do my journaling. As you can see, I'm just measuring it to make sure that I print my journaling in the right width and the right height to fit in that little section without having to, you know, go back and reprint and all of that. So I always measure first just to be sure. Then I go to my computer and actually do my printing. So I went ahead, because I knew the layout that I wanted to do next at this point, I went ahead and printed my journaling for the next layout as well, so it was already done. But I'm just trimming out this little bit of journaling, and I'm going to glue it right there. And that is actually going to finish out this layout. I'm going to look around to see if there's anything else that I need to do, and I decided to go ahead and add these acrylic pieces. I love these acrylic hearts. Stars rather. I like the fact that I'm mixing in like the solid stars with the little sketched stars. I think they're really kind of a nice combination together, and I'm just scattering them kind of across the layout, but really kind of centralized around where the embellishment clusters are. So that finishes this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and keep an eye out for my next layout, because I'm going to go ahead and at least use this kit for one more layout. All right guys, thanks. Bye.